This next award is kind of really special for me, the Carol and Travis Jenkins Award, because Carol Jenkins was one of my best friends, and I was kind of with her when we started to think this award up back in 2003. I mean, Fabio was there, Swerve Sakar, other people that I can't remember. This award is presented every year since 2005 to a person who either used to or currently uses drugs and who has made an outstanding contribution to reducing drug-related harm. It was initially named after Travis, who was a great jazz musician and a composer, and he died of cancer in 2004. In 2009, the award was renamed to include Carol, Travis's wife, Carol, who, again, was a mentor to me and a friend and a colleague to many here. She started out in medical research in Papua New Guinea. She was a medical anthropologist. She was one of the leading instigators in setting up the National AIDS Council there. And she was a leading expert in HIV and AIDS. And it was important to her to always respect indigenous communities. The Harai people of Papua New Guinea were her second family. But I think Carol's insight, I think, back then in creating this award was to honor people who actually use drugs, who are in the community or used to use drugs, and realize that they make a special contribution to reducing, to the harm reduction movement. So this year, the award goes to, I feel like, again, Judy Chang. Yeah. Okay, Judy, I gotta say nice things about you. Judy's not just a leader, if you know her. She's a force of nature who's redefined what it means to talk about the fight for justice. As a woman who uses drugs for over 2 decades of lived experience, she's transformed Input, and trust me, I know I've known Input for a long time, the international peer-led organization that she led for nearly 8 years, into a global beacon for peer-led movements, proving that true change begins when communities take the helm. She's a driver for change and improving policies that affect her community on a global level. She's worked hard to bring the worlds of community and donors together, strengthening community-led movements, inspiring women activists across the world, and bringing structure, stability, and unity to the field of harm reduction. I think what sets Judy apart is her unshakable courage. She confronts harmful myths head on, weaponizing expertise to shake up and dismantle systems that criminalize compassion and care. Whether advising organizations on governance or defending people who use drugs, rights at the global stage, she reminds us that leadership isn't about power. It's about lifting others up as you climb. To stand in Judy's presence is to witness what happens when lived experience meets unrelenting advocacy. She hasn't just shaped policies, she's rewritten the narrative. And the fiercest revolutions are led by those who refuse to be silenced. A louder voice, I don't know. Judy doesn't merely inspire, she ignites movements that'll outlive us all. And I'm so honored to present Judy Chang with this award.
Thank you so much, everyone, especially to Harm Reduction International. It really is an immense honor to be receiving the Carol and Travis Jenkins Award. It was honestly very unexpected, and I really wanted to thank the amazing Angela McBride from Sampwood for her very quiet nomination, and of course to the judging panel as well. So it also made me reflect a lot about how I started on this path, and like Sean Shelley, the Executive Director of Harm Reduction International, it was exactly a decade ago in 2015 that I attended my first International Harm Reduction Conference in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. As we all know, 10 years really does pass by in the blink of an eye, but it also feels to me like a lifetime ago because of all that I've learnt and been gifted with, being part of the global drug user movement. It was in Kuala Lumpur that I vividly remember watching Abdur Rahim Rajay from Afghanistan receive the Carol and Travis Jenkins Award, and really I remember being in awe of everything he was doing and the courage he demonstrated in the face of scarcity, violence, repression, and extreme adversity. I had the privilege of working alongside Rahim for a few days in Kabul with Matt Southwell, carrying out peer focus groups with women who use drugs in Afghanistan, which looking back, really, I think, started me on this path. And I really want to thank Matt Southwell as well for taking a chance on me way back when. I would honestly never have imagined that 10 years later I'd be standing on this podium receiving the same award. I also owe a big shout out to the international network of people who use drugs and the broader community of people who use drugs. And just to share, the reason that I was so drawn to contributing what I could to the community is because of the people. People who possess the courage to take risks, to save lives and restore dignity, and we know that this happens in a context where you can be punished and ostracized for doing so. Under criminalization, risk is not merely theoretical. The trailblazers who were on the streets distributing needles and syringes in naloxone, speaking truth to power at the table, running pop-up drug consumption rooms, operating drug check-in services, and distributing safer supply were and are people who use drugs and their allies, putting themselves in harm's way to mitigate harm, if even for a moment, in others' lives. Time and again, I saw people who use drugs put aside their personal struggles, operating themselves with little material resources, but giving to others with intent, with generosity, with compassion, with action. Nowhere is this more stark than in times of crisis, as we've seen the Eurasian network of people who use drugs, Volner and Bona, do in Ukraine. As many have said, we are living in very dangerous and troubling times, and it may only get worse with rollbacks in rights, democracy, and resourcing, the rise in repression and persecution of those deemed other, before it gets better. I think more than ever, there is much to learn from the drug-using community. The demonstration of courage in the face of adversity, the risk-taking, the ability to innovate, see and do things differently, and keep people on their toes. It's the only way to fight and resist at a time when chaos and inflicting damage has become official strategy. So I'm not only thankful for the community that came before me, but the community in the now and the future. And just to name a few, Anton Basenko, Angela McBride, Ahmed Saeed, Ernesto Cortez, Lynn Jeffries, Rita Gatonye, Annie Madden, Aditya Taslim, Louise Vincent, Julianne Quintero, Veronica Russo, and many more. This award will always be a reminder of everything I've gained from the drug-using community and carried with me, even though now I've moved onto Open Society Foundations. Whilst the future is uncertain and the reactionary right gained ground by accusing those dedicated to social justice as being out of touch and disconnected from realities, the best way for us to pivot as a reform movement is to hold people whose lives are directly impacted by oppressive drug policies and practices as our compass. So just as a final note, I wanted to thank the leadership of Colombia at this year's C&D, Commission on Narcotic Drugs, for we now have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to finally change the international drug control regime that we all know has caused so much harm and devastation. So just as a message, while I have this opportunity, we really need everyone to do their part in stepping up and supporting a panel and process that can actually lay the ground for a drug policy future we have all been envisaging and working for so long. Thank you so much again for this award. It means the world to me.